Chapter 1. The Mental Misfit. She was a bright little girl with a big smile and many gaps because she was losing her baby teeth. Her mother would put her hair in pigtails with paper ribbon because her mother was too cheap and didn't have a lot of money to buy real ribbons. She had a brother and a sister and a mother and a father. They were a happy family, and they went to church on Sundays. They all had great faith, and they all loved each other very much. She was a bright girl, and her father would exercise with her in the living room. Her father was ex-Air Force, and they valued that time together. She was just a little girl. She loved her father very much. One day she got sick. Nothing to worry about, just the flu. So she didn't feel so terrible, the sniffles and such. She could remember being in her parents' bed, safe and warm. Her mother put her there so that she could be closer to the kitchen and the bathroom. The floors were stone, tiled stone, and they were cold on her feet. But it was good to be near her mother. Her mother was always in the kitchen. Her mother would take her temperature back in the day when the thermometer had to go up the butt. Yes, not a pleasant experience, but that's how they used to do it back in the day. And she would sleep under the blankets and feel safe. But she wasn't getting better. She was getting worse. And she started throwing up. She'd take the medicine her mother gave her. But it didn't seem to be helping. It in fact seemed to be making things worse. Her youth group from the church were going to come and watch movies. She was so excited. She wanted to watch movies too. Star Wars. She wanted to watch it. It was just out on video. And all her sister's friends and all her brother's friends were going to be there. She tried her best to get better, but she really wasn't better. So she couldn't watch the movie with everyone. She remembers throwing up more. She kept it down when they were there, but she threw up and threw up for what seemed like days, perhaps. She started to throw up water. She knew she was super sick at that point. Her parents were upset. She remembers them being upset. She remembers her father saying, "There is no way you're throwing up water." But Indeed, there was a way that she was throwing up water. Her father didn't believe her that she was sick. He didn't want to believe it. And that's where her memory kind of starts to falter. She was brought to the hospital. She doesn't remember this. A doctor found her just in time. She had Rye syndrome. She remembers being in the hospital bed. She remembers someone looking at her and bringing her around the hospital and telling her about different children that had died from Rye syndrome. Was it the doctor? Was it her father? Was it the priest? It was somebody. They pointed to a bed and a picture of a little boy and his toys too, and he was dead. She knew she was going to die, or at least that's what they told her. They asked her, "Aren't you scared?" She said no. She figured she was a little girl. She hadn't done anything bad yet, so she was definitely going to go to heaven, so why the heck would she be scared? She remembers some weird test where she'd have to blow into this thing where a ball would bounce around. She remembers being asked questions like, "Do you know where you are?" She remembers getting cards from the local school children and from the church. They were handmade on construction paper. Some of them had little bird stickers. Some of them had little drawings from the other children and written words from the other children. Some of the cards were not handmade. Some of them were from the store. She remembers one where the card made a story and with pictures. And another one that was a clown that you folded out. And inside it was a get well. She remembers a little girl that was in a bed near her. She was slightly younger, and she had blonde hair. They were friends of sorts. The little girl gave the other girl a little sticker to put on her Tweety bird that she had gotten. She put the sticker, it said, "I love you" on it, on her Tweety bird. Something happened. She didn't see the little girl anymore. She remembers seeing her on multiple days. She remembers doctors coming to prick her finger and not wanting them to, with needles. She'd look away and hand over her arm, hoping that the whole thing would go away. She remembers vaguely them coming to change her clothes. She hated that the most. They would take the curtain and put it around her bed. It felt like such a violation. They would take off her clothes and put new ones on. There was no bad intent, but she didn't like it. She remembers lots of things about that hospital. Some experimental drug that tasted like cherry, but really, really awful cherry. Artificial cherry, like the sort of cherry you would never want to eat again. In the form of a popsicle. She remembers her step-grandmother coming to visit. Her step-grandmother was always a little cold, and she was cold then too. She remembers when she came back from the hospital, she felt so good that she had beaten this thing. And she had her clothes in her bag, and she had forgotten a box of crayons. She felt so guilty. She felt she had stolen them, and she made her mother promise that those crayons were going to go back to the hospital. Of course, the crayons never did go back to the hospital. So she felt terribly guilty. She had stolen the crayons. When she was back from the hospital, it was from that moment forward that everyone treated her differently. She was no longer the smart little girl, the bright little girl with a great big smile. The father didn't exercise with her anymore. The father didn't really want to do anything with her anymore. She was broken. She was no longer intelligent. They called her slow. Her family, her church, and her school